Alright, so we're going to the second part of the trial. What I'm hoping is that this will actually be streamlined and we can wrap it up. I don't know, though. We'll have to see how this goes. You know how Phoenix Wright can be, right? Alright, I'm actually lowering my earphone volume. I'm going to lower the stream volume a little bit because we know it's going to be loud. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and ended on a giant mystery. That's true. And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet. Are you okay, Nick? Huh? Yeah, of course. I saw that little flash of doubt in your eyes. No, that wasn't doubt. That was, determination. Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You better go take the defendant's seat. Roger, don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. Hey, pal. Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out. She doesn't need that. How do you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. Oh, you look like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this'll help. Huh? Have you taken up aromatherapy too? Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me that you don't remember this thing. Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. This is the small bottle that turned up in Tribulations' kitchen a couple days ago. Yep. Wow, look at all the bottles. Yeah, the aromatherapy oils. We got so many, they're over on the floor. Wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others. Right, and then we gave it to him to investigate. We finally got the analysis results back from the lab. So, what is it? Is it a poison? I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication. Medication? Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently. Ah! It's the medication of the deceased. So apparently, somehow, the medication ended up in the kitchen with the aromatherapy bottles, which makes no sense. Now, this makes me obviously question if what's his name? Armstrong. If he's involved with the whole thing and he had something to do with swapping medication. Who knows, right? Shout out to Darkside Johnson, who cheered. 50 bits, it says, if there was a Law & Order SVU DLC for this game, would you download it? This game's long enough. I don't think it needs any DLC. I'm just saying, like, this game is incredibly long. Forced to have it. I typed Darkside Phil instead of Darkside Johnson. Alright. I also spelled Johnson wrong. Johnson. There we go. Darkside. No! Darkside Johnson. I got it right finally. Jesus. It took forever. Okay. For ears, you mean? Yeah, it's the medication Glenn Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum. What was Glenn Elg's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? Small bottle refiled into the court record. Okay. What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour and they might have gotten something on the prints, but... that's going to weaken its impact as a piece of evidence. Ooh. Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today, got it? Today's trial. I'm gonna expose that guy for what he's done, and my name isn't Phoenix Wright. Alright. Here we go. Robble, robble, robble. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. Oh, the defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good, then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows that the victim drank from it with his right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear. It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick? Ha! Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it.
You've lost me already, Mr. Godot.
Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You've got to change with the times. That's one of my rules.
Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions?
You know the answers to...
You know the answers to these riddles? Oops.
The old guy wasn't just throwing seed in here, he was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it.
Very well, let the first witness take the stand.
Alright, here we go, guys. Well, Doug, I swear if I can't do any Canadians because in this case we've already done all the voices. Maybe the next case I'll make someone Canadian. And you are?
Oh, bonjour everyone! I'm John Armstrong, the R9 head chef at Le Tribune restaurant. Enchanté! Forgive me for asking, witness, but are you a woman?
Oh la la, monsieur! As you can see, I am la part and package gentleman known. On the day of the incident, you were in Tribune's kitchen. Isn't that right? Where's your mon cher?
Oh?
Everything feels right. Ha! Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy?
Very well. Your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Tribune.
Oui, volontiers. Oh, yes. When it all happened, there was just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decors that day. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Oui, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. La cup, la earpiece, and la glasses, he would have seen everything in reverse, non? Well, now they just friggin' fixed the testimony from yesterday.
Mirror?
Oui, un grand mirror. La most enormous mirror. Robble in friggin' deed. And suddenly, the mystery disappears. Ha! Delicious. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it.
That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front.
What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me. Here people keep asking what I ate tonight. I had pasta. We had a rigatoni with my homemade pasta sauce. There you go.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Hey. Alright, here we go. So, there were 2 customers in my restaurant. Let's press on that. And who were these 2 customers exactly? Of course, the young man who died, and the other not so young man.
You're referring to yesterday's witness, I presume?
What about the other man Maggie says she saw at the table? Right. Something tells me Mr. Armstrong isn't planning to disclose his existence. Alright. We need some hard evidence first before we can bring him up, don't we? I guess I'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. Alright, so he says he was experimenting with new Art Deco. You were experimenting with Art Deco? How come I never heard about that before today? You are not familiar with the language of interior design, monsieur? Please stay on topic. Now, why didn't you tell the court about this before? But I did, just a few moments ago.
Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This deco you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of decoctor?
No. Art Deco, it's a style of design, Your Honor. He's talking about interior design. Walls and ceilings, carpets, that kind of stuff.
Oh, of course, that deco.
I was trying to achieve a more love effeminate look for my restaurant. I was planning the most bold remodeling of la decor.
Alright. Weenie Rice Box just hit me $1. Said the last time you played Phoenix Wright, I had a nightmare about Armstrong and he was talking in your voice. It was quite frightening. Okay then. Kojima rules to be $2. It says, did you see the new Death Stranding trailer? Kojima must have been smoking a fat dude when he came up with the game. I saw some of it. My eyes are screwing up. I saw some of it. And I saw basically, I saw Norman Reedus fighting this giant black monster with like tentacle arms and shit. And then I saw, you know, some of the cutscenes and stuff. And then I saw there's a lot of different environments and weather conditions that'll be in the game. But I don't think we saw enough to even understand what the hell the game is. But thank you very much for the tip. Okay. Alright, so this is about the large mirror between the tables, alright? How big of a mirror are we talking about here? Boo! Something about 4 meters wide and, we about 2 meters high. Let's see, 1 meter is about 1 yard. Holy glass in a frame, that's huge! I was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually. The ceiling? Was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember. No, but I decided to not go through with it in the end. What should I do? Should I ask him more about the mirror or not? Yeah, you probably should. Hyo Yep has done a 250-bit cheer. Thank you, Hyo Yep, for the cheer. We'll get you up on the leaderboard. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna choke. Excuse me, cough. Right before the stream started, I got some dust in my nose. And I started sneezing, and now I feel like a piece of it went down my throat. Not exactly a good thing to do when you're doing a stream where you're narrating everything, right? Ugh. Hopefully it clears up here. Let me get a drink of water. Okay. Orion Rogue, if the audio is out of sync with the video, it's probably on your end. It's probably your internet or your stream needs to be refreshed. Because no one complained earlier today about that at all. So, and I didn't change anything on my end either. So, I also received an anonymous sub gift. Sung Kwan received it. So thank you to the anonymous sub gifter. I appreciate that. Okay. Alright. So let's not leave it. Let's press harder. If you really had such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed it. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Bird's testimonies. But you didn't ask, Trite. You have only yourself to blame for such sloppy work. What? A mirror was delivered to Très Bien the day before the incident. Really? As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. And, as it turned out, he didn't actually use the mirror in the end. This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to Très Bien, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant on the day of the crime. Huh. If you want to doubt someone, Trey, look in the mirror. I'm sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough. So the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror. Okay. And he says, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at? Normally, I'd expect people to know the difference between a reflection and a real object. Normally, how does normality come into this? That's lame, Trey, even for you. Huh? Are you trying to say that if something isn't normal, it isn't possible? Is that it? Where does that leave the where does that leave the porky-headed lawyer and the top-knot chick over there? And the ungodly cool guy with the mask over here, Will Trey? Ah! Not the hair. I do not have a top knot. Mr. Godot was correct. A lack of normality is no basis for discounting an argument. Bien, logic is one letter. Alright, so he's saying you would have seen everything in reverse. Everything? You would have seen everything in reverse? Oui. Hey, Nick. You should take a sec and think about what old CD said in his testimony. How did he phrase it again?
The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt. And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup. His left hand. We saw everything he described reflected in a mirror. Then everything he said he saw on the left was actually on the right. Huh. And that clears up all the problems with his testimony, I guess. Or does it? Huh. It's kind of hard to believe everything's the fault of a mirror, but... Do you think old CD saw everything through a reflection? If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony. But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's gotta be something in that old man's testimony. We just gotta dig deeper. Okay, let's take a look. When the incident occurs, I broke the vase at my seat. I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong with that. See anything there? Poison, no. I had a feeling the medication will come into play later, but not now. Call the police by payphone. Where an HMD over left eye, left eardrum was ruptured. Wait a minute. It said he was wearing it over his left eye. In real life, he was wearing it over his left eye. See? Oh my god. Art Deco on the large mirror. The cup, the earpiece, and the glasses would have been seeing everything in reverse. This is tough. I think it's this statement. I do. I think it's this statement, but I'm not sure how to contradict it. Where's it going to do a save? Yeah, let's save up. Okay. So, the old man was saying that he picked it up with his right hand, that the eyepiece is on the right side of his head, right? This is so confusing right now, dude. I'm thinking... If you look at the cup, it means he would have had to have lifted this with his right hand and drank from it because that's where his lip mark is, right? Right. It would have had to have been there. Right. If he saw it in a reflection,
it would have looked like it was his left hand that was picking up the cup, which is what he attests to. He says it was his left hand, right? I think it's time to eat these weenies and give us some power up. No, I think it has to be left-right difference. I got it right. Oh, here, because I think the contradiction is that it says that we think everything's on the left-hand side. He's saying it's reversed, which means the coffee cup is on the right. It would have showed up as the left, but then the things that were on the left would have been on the right. He's saying everything's on the left, which isn't right. It's not left, it's right, because if it was on the right, then it should have been on the left, not the right. But if it was on the right, then it would have been reversed to the left. He's saying everything's on the left, but that's not true because we know that the cup was on the right while the earpiece was on the left. Let's think this back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green legs of his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong, it was his left ear without a doubt. So to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw all that as a reflection in the mirror, it means that both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Exactamente, you see, mon cher, now that you think about it, it's not so hard, no? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? Rubble, rubble.
Order, order. Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect that the victim's eyepiece would have been over his right eye.
How bitter. Tripe, you should have a taste of this bitterness. I'll calm you down in no time. Or it'll calm you down in no time. By the way, thank you very much to RL Cool, who has resubscribed for 30 months. I appreciate that. Are you talking about your coffee or something completely different? You don't understand the way the witness thinks.
How he thinks?
You remember this, I presume? The I broke the vase sorry apology letter? Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony? Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. L?
Clearly it's the victim's eyepiece.
And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man. Ha! Ah! I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear, do you hear? His left ear. Ha! Well, try.
Irk. That's the worst but best impression of Kudo ever.
Wow, I really thought he was a little seedy for a minute there. That was good.
Enough. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in most of his testimony.
Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found is just a rash. A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears. Oui, I can explain. Please, if you will look at the plans of the restaurant. Alors, is everyone sitting comfortably? La mirror, it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. There's only one seat from which you could have seen the image of la victime. That was the seat at the table next to la victims. That was where the old man was sitting. After a terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else.
I see no problems with the explanation we've just heard. From the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudo would have seen the victim in the mirror.
What a naughty little coquette I am, confusing other men like this.
Don't
Don't worry about it. Huh. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there again. Ha ha! I hate that guy.
You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that?
Volunteers, of course.
Very well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please. Oh boy.
La mirror was in the middle of the restaurant dividing the two halves. Ha!
So run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct?
Oui.
We, really? Because I know if I were you, I wouldn't have put a mirror there. It would be in the way.
Look who's talking, Trey. Huh? You're obstructing my view, among other things.
But, this is my scene in the courtroom.
Trey Bien's charm is that it gives you the impression that you're the only customer. Temporarily placing a mirror in that spot would hardly be in the way. Unlike you, Trey. I tell you, monsieur, the mirror was there in the middle of the restaurant. There's only one scene for which you could have seen an image of la victime.
Okay. And where would that be?
Ooh la la! Look how you lean towards me! Ooh, I always attract the younger boys. Ooh, maybe I should keep you in suspense a little longer.
Oh, Mr. Armstrong, tell the code what you know at once, or else I'm gonna put a big hearty helping of coal in your stocking this year, little young boy.
I attract the older ones too, you know. And some, shall I tease you too?
Oh, I don't think Mrs. Claus would like that.
I'm already seeing a very hot someone, so I'm afraid you'll be waiting for a long time. I bet she has mocha cream skin and cappuccino perfume. Bien, I will tell you, there was only one seat from which you could have seen. That was the seat at the table next to la victime. That was where the old man was sitting. Ha! So, why can you only see the victim from that particular seat? My monsieur, it is obvious, no? If you look at the plans, you will understand. La victime would have been reflected in la mirror like so. If you are sitting at the table next to him, you would see everything, no? So that's the seat old CD was sitting on that day. When the poisoning happened. The only one was sitting at the table next to the victim?
Why does that seem kind of odd?
After a terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror.
Oh, I know why. I already know why.
I moved the mirror so it was not in the way.
I already know what to contradict. It's right here.
Here you go. We can contradict it right now. And here's why. I'm going to show you why. Okay? Where is it? Crime photo. So, if this were the case, in the crime photo, as you can see, the old man would have been sitting at this table to the left, and our victim is sitting to the right. The problem is the old man now has testified. He wrote a letter stating, I accidentally knocked over my vase when this happened, and I saw it. That vase is upright. So what we need to do is present this picture, and then when he says, how is this false, then you present the testimony. And then when he says, how is that false, you slap him right across the freaking face. Alright, maybe you don't do that. But we gotta present this evidence right now. This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we have heard, Your Honor.
The crime photo?
Yes, it does. Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist.
What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright?
Should not exist. Ha! Sounds like you're describing yourself, Trey.
Now then, if the defense would please clarify its statement. What is the something that should not exist in this photo?
Right here. The vase. I think it's pretty obvious this is what should not be in the picture.
The vase? What possible connection does that have to do with this witness's testimony?
Your Honor, I'm telling you that there should have been no vase on this table. Because it is very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. Here it is. Ah! There is one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court could see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not in fact sitting at the table next to the victim at all!
Objection!
Whoa! Don't be an idiot, Trite. That's impossible. That seat's the only one on Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from. Exactly. Huh? There is only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Tribulations that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie! Ooh, mon Dieu! Rubble, 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 rubble. Don't try to confuse the court, Trite. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene. Ha! Unfortunately, Mr. Goodell, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary. In his own words, I did not touch anything else except the mirror.
Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah. I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day.
In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear which he couldn't hear?
I got an anonymous dollar tip saying to control your chat. It's unreadable. I see no reason to complain about the chat. What's going wrong with the chat? Nothing. Unless there's an actual troll insulting someone, the chat seems fine to me. I just looked down and it looks fine. And a couple people memeing frogs, that's okay. There's nothing wrong. Okay. Huh. You only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Trite, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw? If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it. Are you going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick? There's more than just one contradiction, Maya. What do you mean? Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. And I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up.
Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer.
Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradictions in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple. Mr. Kudo made a mistake, the ear doctor made a mistake, the victim was a phony. The victim was a phony. The case is riddled with contradictions, yet there's one very simple answer that clears them all up.
And what is that?
The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events.
What?
Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake.
Order in the court. Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom.
Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh?
What did you say?
Right. Are you saying that Mr. Kudo saw was a setup? Yes. Someone pretended to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning. All for the express purpose of creating a witness out of the one Mr. Victor Kudo.
Objection.
Get real, Trite. Why do you think anyone would want to do that? By the way, shout out to Fire Sakura, who has resubscribed for 20 months. Thank you, Fire Sakura, for the resub. Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in his testimony was... The serving girl brought him a Java Cheeto, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well.
It's so hard to believe, but...
There was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo the fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning that coffee. Are you insinuating that the waitress in the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but it's also true that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening.
Though that is right. Well, witness, if your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, wouldn't you have known about it, correct?
Ooh la la, this is the most difficult for me.
Ha!
No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You're under oath after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Tribune that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened.
The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. We will accurately explain in detail the offense of the restaurant that day. Or else I'm putting you on the naughty list.
Oui. Oui. Alright, here we go again. Okay. La victim, Monsieur L, he came to my restaurant alone. I remember an old man arrived not long after him. There were no other customers. When he got word that he won the lottery, Mon L came very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning occurred. No, there was no time for a phony to do la acting.
Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all.
Je vous demande pardon, forgive me your honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly.
What you have just done is committed perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later. Maybe a whipping.
Oh, oui, I'd like that.
For now, we will hear your cross-examination. Mr. Wright, if you please.
Alright guys, please calm down with the frog emotes for a little bit. You are spamming the stream chat now a little excessively, so please stop, okay? Thank you. He took that perjury charge a bit too well. But I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. Alright, here we go. So first he said he came to his restaurant alone. The victim came alone. Was he alone at his table as well? My, oui, so I'm from la kitchen. Yet the defendant, Miss Bird, remembers it differently. She swears it was another man at the victim's table.
Objection!
Ha! Unfortunately for you, Trey. Yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. You know, seeing you squirm like that reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite. What kind of coffee has he been drinking? It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet. Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden. Alright, says the old man arrived not long after him. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct? Oui, it comes often for my special coffee. I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience. Oui, you make me so happy, mon cher. You're most welcome anytime. I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. So old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. What time was it? Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived? Oh no, I cannot remember, mon cher.
I believe we were told by a witness yesterday.
The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, sir.
Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness?
The incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 o'clock and 2:10 p.m., no? Just after 2. Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, mon cher. You are wonderful.
Ho 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 ho. I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I?
Alright.
The time of day will be added to the witness's testimony.
Oui, mon cher judge. Everything I do it for you.
Merci bien. That's French, isn't it?
I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood. He's even humming a song to himself. Alright, so he says, I remember the old man arrived not long after him, just after 2 p.m. Hold on a second here. Alright, it says died of potassium cyanide poisoning. The time it does is between 1:30 and 2:30 p.m. So what this is telling us... God damn this, I'm choking or coughing all night. What this is telling us, there was enough time between 1:30 and 2 for the actual poisoning to occur, that to be cleared out, and then to have a fake one happen between 2 and 2:30. So there was enough of a window of time, alright? So that was significant that we just got that time. Okay. Anything else? Ah! We've got it. We've got the contradiction. Because he said that he was ecstatic because he had found out that he had just won on the radio. He had heard that he had won the lottery. The drawing's at 1:30. He also testified that the guy died right after this happened. So it would have had to be between 1:30 and 2, not between 2 and 2:30. We've got the evidence we need right here. It's the ticket. Yup. Okay. There were no other customers. When he got word that he won the lottery, he became very excited. It was 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. Haha! Okay, okay. So he says there was no time for the phony to do the acting. So, what do we... Let's press a little more. Let's press these 3 statements just to be sure they don't flesh out any more evidence. But it's one of those 3 statements we got to press with the evidence we have. Or not press, but contradict. Did you see him? No, I was in the kitchen, but I heard him. I remember him shouting, "Yes, have $1 million." Presumably the defendant heard that too, then, correct? Maggie? She looked like a poor little frightened dove.
What about Mr. Kudo?
That old man choked on some birdseed that got stuck in his throat.
It seems we now have yet another incident on our hands.
Alright, so it was 5 minutes after the poisoning occurred. And what were you doing at that point? Without any customers, you must have had time to kill. I am a multi-talented woman, mon cher. Sorry? What do you mean? There's the renowned chef Jean Armstrong and the tragic poet Clarice Armstrong.
Clarice?
Oui, I was writing a poem, an angry tale of a chef in $500 million debt, cooking for a man who won $500 million in a lottery. It is called Pourquoi. It means why. Perhaps I could recite it for the court?
Please don't.
Alright, and then this, there's no time. You mean you contacted the police as soon as the incident occurred? I asked the old man to call from la payphone. By your own argument, Trey. The purpose of this phony victim's performance was so the old man would see it. In other words, once the incident occurred, this opportunity would completely disappear.
Indeed.
Bien, it seems the shadow of doubt has been lifted, n'est-ce pas? I guess Mr. Armstrong is connected to this case, huh? Absolutely. Someone was impersonating Mr. Elk, and I refuse to believe he was so oblivious. He was there the whole time after all. But if you're right, wouldn't Maggie have noticed too? She fell unconscious when the incident occurred, remember? Ah, you mean that's when the phony stages act? We'll know for sure once I find a hole in his testimony. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my stream chat crashed completely. So I have to now try to reload it. Apologies, guys. I know most people tonight are just doing stuff with frogs, which is perfectly fine as long as you don't go crazy, okay? As long as you don't completely destroy everything in the stream chat. You know, leave room for people who want to talk about the game, please. Don't just overwhelm it with stuff that only has to do with the frogs and the emotes, alright? Trying to get it to reload right now. The whole thing just went kaput on me. Psh, failed to load. Failed to load. Keep getting errors. Failed to load. Okay. Let's see here. All right. Alright, trying to get this chat working now. Try to pop it out and have it get it to load. And it's not loading. Oh, man. Try again. Pop out. Okay, I think it's loading now. That was friggin' annoying. That was seriously annoying. Okay. Alright, my stream chat's back, and I'm going to say it one more time. Please, guys, lay back on the frog emote. You are spamming the chat, and if I see it, I'm going to have to start timing people out. I don't want to. I'm trying to be lenient, trying to let people have fun, but if it keeps up, I'm going to have to time people out, alright? Everyone relax with the frog emotes. Okay? Okay. So, we got to contradict something here. Okay, this is correct. You became very excited. It was probably 5 minutes later that the poisoning occurred. There was no time for Phony to do the acting. Damn it, I should have saved. It says his statement's faulty, but he says he didn't see it faulty. Fuck. Alright, I gotta save. Damn it, I wanted to save. Save up. Oh my god, ever since I sneezed, this tickle in my throat won't go away now, man. Okay. Minutes later, the poisoning occurred. Damn it. Five minutes later, the poisoning occurred. Right. It really happened at 1:35. We know that. We got him, the flyer. We got him with the flyer. Okay. Elior Artorius just said, there's so many frogs in chat, I thought Yahweh summoned the second plague of Egypt in the chat. Also, an anonymous dollar tipper, they said, that's like my one issue with the game is knowing what you're supposed to present as evidence, but not knowing which statement the game wants you to do it against. Yeah, and the thing is, sometimes, even when you get it right, it doesn't really make sense. Like, I'm presenting the flyer now, and I'm going to say, oh, you said there wasn't enough time, but according to the flyer, it's announced at 1:30, which means there was, you know, a window of time. But also, we had the time of death between 1:30 and 2:30. That also was an example of a window of time. Why does one work and not the other? But it's bullshit. And that happens a lot with the Phoenix Wright games, where it seems like there actually are 2 or 3 things you could have presented, but they don't present, you know what I mean? Like, there's no definitive way to know which one to present. So... Alright, so here we go. I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. What do you mean? At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket. Oui, that must be la show, Mom. Ele was listening to.
I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright.
I wonder... You said the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 p.m., correct? Oui, I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time because I had just finished serving la lunch menu. Get to the point, Trey, if you have one. Shout out to Ring Dude to give me a 100-bit cheer. Thank you, Ring Dude, for the cheer. That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. And it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life.
It's on the air at 1:30.
Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe this cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. None! This victim we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum? Catching a show that was already over? This is only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. The victim was an imposter acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Wow. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elgs in Tribune that day. The real Glen Elg now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer, and then the phony Glen Elg acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness.
It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy?
Objection! Quite a performance, Trey. You were almost on a roll. Huh? But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song. What is this? Music Theory 101? Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony Elg is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. Ha! How do you explain then where the real Glen Elg is? I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, at that time the real Glen Elg was already dead.
Well, that's certainly the obvious conclusion.
Objection! Thank you, Trey. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? Now, I presume you can prove this theory of yours? Can you explain where the missing corpse went to? The missing corpse? According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If that customer was the phony Glen Elg, haha, then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim? No! Robble, 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 robble.
The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body?
Yes, Your Honor. No conjecture, Trey. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Evidence? What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden? I thought I had him with that contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead.
Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. Elg concealed?
I gotta think about this for a second, but before I do, Prince Ali Ababwa sent me $1, said if you had a magical genie, what would be your 3 wishes? Let's see. I gotta think something stupid up. The first would be that I would be so amazingly gorgeous forever, that my looks would never change, and I would always be amazingly good looking for the rest of my life, that I would never lose my astonishingly good looks, right? Let's see. The second would be to permanently get rid of my post-nasal drip. And the third would be to eliminate all my debts. There you go. Those are my three wishes. There you go. I really took that seriously. So outside Tribune or inside Tribune? Outside Tribune, let's say inside. It would have to have been dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Tribune.
Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was concealed is... the kitchen? I mean, I would think the kitchen. Because the only other place I would think of... like, maybe behind the counter here? It can't be anywhere here. It can't, because then they would be able to see it. It can't be in the magazine rack. That's not big enough for a body, so I'm going to say in the kitchen. Take that! body was hidden here.
I see.
Nice supposition, but the real question is, can you back it up?
Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location?
Apron? Ah! The missing medicine! Yes! Because we found his ear medicine! Yup. We did it! Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? We did it. It was the missing ear medication. Nice.
No, I've never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, mon cher. The highest quality only for me.
Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright?
Interesting enough, Your Honor. It was found in the kitchen of Tribulations. Eh? Quoi? But I only ever use these bottles for aromatherapy oils.
But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication.
What kind of medication?
I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. Elk visited an otolaryngological clinic and was given medication that very day.
You can't be serious.
The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle matched the prescription that was given to Mr. Elk. Glenn Elk's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen, at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say that you were in the kitchen?
Monsieur?
Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body! You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Bird. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back. None!
Oh, order! This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn Elk?
Never! I could not do such a horrible thing.
Mr. Godot?
The bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules. Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now? Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear by H. Deficient Friend? Je vous demande pardon, please, you must hear me out. It is a trap, listen to me, por favor.
Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish.
I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it?
No, absolutely none.
Let's hear it. You've got one shot, right, Gramps?
Witness, the court will permit you to chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel.
Oui, it is clear. What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this.
Very well, begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong.
Alright, M5NSX did a 50-bit cheer. And he says, what's your favorite non-Italian food? That's a very tough question. There's so many kinds of food that I like. If you're talking Asian cuisine, I love ramen. I love dumplings. I love
egg rolls. I love different kinds of like Chinese food. I love certain kinds of Thai food with the spiciness to it. You know, if you're talking Mexican food, there's so many different kind of Mexican dishes that I like. American food, you know, good down home fried or baked chicken or a good meatloaf, or you know what I mean? Like there's so many things. Burgers, certain burgers I like, although I'll be honest, I don't really crave red meat like I used to. Like burgers, steaks, that stuff I don't really crave that much anymore. Pizza! Are you kidding me? East Coast pizza. Amazing flavorful pizza. So I don't have a favorite non-Italian food. He said, the reason you might be wondering is why did he bring up pizza? Because I'm talking about American pizza. It's not Italian style. I like the American East Coast style pizza, not the Italian style of pizza. But anyway, I don't have a specific. Those are some of the things that I like, but I don't have a specific. So there you go. Okay.